Hello, I'm Adam Neeson and welcome to the Banderflex movie review show. Let's see what movies we've got coming up tonight. We'll be reviewing Speak No Evil, which is out in cinemas now. Our DVD of the week is The Commitment. And our pick of the streams is Field of Dreams, which is available to watch on NvTv. So that's what we've got this evening. Joining me in the studio today, we've got Bill Taylor.
Hi, Adam.
And Gerard McNeil.
Hi, Adam.
We would like to acknowledge that this is Jim's second week not being here, and we send him our well wishes, of course. He's recovering nicely with his new pupper. But of course, we can't be amiss by just quickly going into some movie news.
They used to tell us stories about this place.
You have no idea what you're getting yourself into here.
Danny, where are you? Answer me.
This is not a disease you can catch.
Let me in.
If we don't fight back, they'll come for us eventually.
Things have gone bad in the lot now.
So that was the trailer for Salem's Lot, the latest remake of a Stephen King classic. The trailer itself kind of gives a little too much away for myself. I do love the Tobe Hooper original, and this seems to be sticking very closely to that, both visually and with the story itself. You've got Bill Pullman's kid in it. He looks pretty good. I enjoyed him in Top Gun Maverick. We'll go to you first, Jared. What did you think of the Salem's Lot trailer?
I never seen the original. I didn't like the sort of artistic style that that's supposedly going with the original. So I don't think it's for me. I was never really one for vampires anyway, and I'm not really one for sort of horror genres or sort of lightly seasoned horror. So I don't think it's for me. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. Maybe I'll give it a watch. Maybe I'll have to review it.
Well, we'll definitely have you on for that. We love having people on that don't love horror, talking about horror. I am excited for this as it is directed by Gary Duberman, who wrote the It movies, I'm a fan, and of course the Annabelle movies, which are fun, if not a bit too repetitive for my liking. But Bill, you said beforehand that you're a fan of the Annabelle movies.
I love that sort of stuff. I love the Conjuring world and Annabelle and I love them. Salem's Lot, I don't really remember it the first time round, to be honest. Maybe I was too young. I wasn't allowed to watch it. But watch the trailer, and I have to admit I'll be watching that on the big screen. Yes.
Now, it's funny you say watching it on the big screen, because famously this is a movie that was shelved for a while by Warner Brothers, and in America it's just going to be on their Max streaming service. So in the UK we will get it theatrically, which is really good. But speaking of theatrical Stephen King remakes, we next year or the year after will have the Running Man remake, which we're both, or all three of us, sort of mixed opinions on. But Jared, you were very excited when I told you this news, as Edgar Wright happens to be the director.
Yeah, I didn't realize this. Massive fan of Edgar Wright. Absolutely love the Cornetto trilogy. Spaced, and his recent works with Last Night in Soho. But yeah, I was completely blindsided by the news that he was doing the Running Man remake or reboot or soft reboot, whatever you want to call it, because apparently it's going to be a lot more faithful to the novel. So very interested in that. Very interested.
Bill, thoughts on the Running Man remake?
I honestly didn't know that they were going to remake such a classic and iconic film. Who loves you and who do you love? I grew up with Arnie, so I'm a bit miffed that they're making it. But Edgar Wright's in the the boss shoes, so I do like the Cornetto trilogy, and I do like Spaced, so I think it's in good hands. And I will watch it. I like your man, Glenn Powell. I think he's very watchable. So, yeah, I'll watch it.
Glenn Powell's definitely, they've positioned him as the star of the future, and let's just hope that his run continues of good movies when The Running Man finally comes out. But that's for the future. Let's speak about the present, and we shall now look at the movie we all seen this week of James McAvoy in Speak No Evil.
This is my husband, Ben.
Patrick Feld, this is my wife, Kira.
This is Agnes.
And has some trouble communicating. He can be a bit insecure.
Nice Vespa. Yeah, isn't she? You should try.
Yeah, we.
I won't call the fun police if you don't.
Okay.
Back before I quit my practice. You're a lawyer. Doctor, listen, you have to come and visit. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah? Yeah. Done.
It's so quiet around here. Do you even have any neighbors?
Hey, you made it!
Welcome, welcome.
Ta-da!
You are VIP guests.
Just to remind you, I'm a vegetarian.
Our gift to you.
That is so... I'm...
Louise, doctor's orders.
Very good.
So that was a clip of Speak No Evil, the latest Blumhouse effort out at the cinemas. We all seen it this week. I feel, talking beforehand, that we all might be a bit mixed on it. But we'll go to you first, Bill. What did you think of Speak No Evil?
Okay, I liked it, I watched it, and I liked it, I enjoyed it. I just felt there was a couple of moments in it where it's maybe not, you know, it's like, this is not reality, this wouldn't happen. But I have to say, McAvoy is absolutely fantastic. One of the things I really appreciated about the film is the uneasiness it builds. You don't really catch on immediately what is going on, or even his behaviour, and it just escalates in bits and bits and bits. And you know, there's certain things that maybe get said or they're maybe out of place, but you excuse it because of maybe he's been nice. You know, it's such a good manipulative performance, and I thought the wee fella was brilliant as well. I thought the wee fella played quite a blinder. But yeah, there's a couple of bits, I don't want to spoil it for people, but there are just a couple of bits where I think, you know, it maybe bashes the viewer over the head a wee bit with feminism, and you know, it just little bits that sort of irked me a bit.
Yeah, I can understand. When I was watching it in the cinema, I was watching with my partner, and she was kind of, anytime the family got into a situation, it was like, just leave. Just say, can somebody just say something, just leave? Because they were just kind of taking it. And watching this and also the Danish original, it's funny that this remake kind of focuses on what a American family would do in this situation rather than a Norwegian family in the original, because they are more susceptible to taking weird things and not speaking up when things are strange. I thought this movie was great. Like you say, James McAvoy, fantastic. Everybody sort of gives a great performance. Scoot McNairy, I'm always happy to see in anything. Even though in this movie he is a bit of a wet flannel, but that's sort of what the character is in this version. In the original version, the dad is a little bit more strong-headed, but I feel like kind of took that character and split it among the family to kind of give unease to everybody in the family rather than just the father. But comparing this and the original is sort of apples and oranges when it comes to the ending, as the ending here is more of a straw dogs sort of ending where you have like a battle between the two families, and there is more of a not uplifting ending, but it kind of gives you a bit of hope, whereas the original version is just so dire, like you don't want to do anything for the rest of the day, just hide in a cave. But Gerard, what did you think of Speak No Evil?
It's a no from me. I think it was my own fault though. Like whenever I watched the trailer for it before watching the movie, saw that it was James McAvoy, and that it was a horror. I'm not a big fan of horrors. but I immediately got Split vibes. So I was expecting, like, you know, maybe not so much different personalities, but for me personally, I was expecting a lot more from James McAvoy. But again, that's down to my own expectations. I felt that there wasn't enough suspense or intensity. It was a very slow burn. You know, there was points throughout I think maybe only 2 times where it really piqued my interest. And that's sort of when the plot there's just enough plot reveal there just to pull you back in. But then I found it just becoming very flat again. And then, as you say, the father of the family, Wet Flannel, I just felt that his arc, his whole story and progression throughout the movie was, again, you know, it didn't accumulate to anything. And yeah, just for me, it was very flat for me. It just didn't leave me with anything.
That's fair enough. Obviously, me and Bill, we took a lot more from it on the horror sense. And to me, the movie coming out of it sort of is a real look at generational abuse and handing down abuse through different generations and through your kids and what you know your parents were like and how you are to a parent to your child. And you know, it's not a real Friday night sit-in, get the popcorn out, we'll all have a good laugh, even though there was people laughing in my cinema because they just couldn't believe how wild James McAvoy was getting on with this. So, well, let's talk about something a little bit more lighter, because speaking of evil, definitely not one for the kids, but one that you can all have fun with is the DVD pick of the week, which is The Commitments, and let's have a clip of that right now.
Hey, what's this?
What's what?
Have you got soul? If so, the world's hardest working band is looking for you. Contact Jay Rabbit.
I'm putting a band together.
Do you need a singer? Wise men say...
Well, what kind of music are we going to be playing, Jimmy? Soul.
Soul? That's what you got to measure up to, lads.
Well, like, maybe we're a little white.
See if you could play before I pay for them.
So that's a clip of The Commitments, the 1991 Alan Parker classic. Me and Gerard were talking, we had never seen this movie before. We had to review it today, and it's always been one that's been on my list to watch because it is Irish, and you know, I know there's been a lot of you know, over the years there's been like stage shows, there's been rumours of sequels and stuff. So it is always one that I wanted to seek out. A lot of fun, loved the music. You know, I love a bit of soul, I love a bit of blues. There's definitely influence on this movie after of other musical movies from both Ireland and the UK, but we'll get to that in a bit. But Bill, we'll come to you as the expert on The Commitments. What is your thoughts?
I absolutely love this film. I think it's definitely in my, as we were talking before, it's in my top 50. It is just so funny, and there's so many great quotable one-liners. It's typical Roddy Doyle. I mean, there's no messing about. There's a lot of great lines, and it's always the one with when Jimmy's standing at the lift and the wee fella's out with the horse. He says, "You're bringing a horse in the lift." And he says, "I have to use the lift. The stairs will kill him." That's just, you know, that's my humour down to a T. The thing I love about this film, and I can't remember how old it is, so it must be what, 30 odd years old, 32 years old? That's amazing. The thing I really love about this film is it's a great underdog film, because everybody's an underdog in it. It is so working class. And it's great that it opens up and it hits the ground running. Jimmy has aspirations of managing a band, and we just go from there. And the characters, just all the different interactions between the characters. I love Billy on the drums, the first drummer. What's your influences? And he just straight out says it's Animal from the Muppets. And I love Joey the Lips Fagan. Just, you don't know whether he's telling the truth or whether he's bending the, you know, and you don't find out. Guys, if you haven't watched it, watch it. It's such a great film. The music in it is something else. I mean, they had like a top-selling album out of that, and it's clear to see why. I mean, your man Andrew Strong, he's the lead guy, Deco. I think he was 16 at that point. And I can remember back, I don't know if you guys remember, but he did a Coke ad straight after of the success of The Commitments where he's singing in it. Mm-hmm. You can probably find it on YouTube. But it's such a voice for a 16-year-old.
Oh, he's so good, and watching them all perform, you know, there's a real knack to capturing live music on film that sometimes can be hard to achieve. And like I said, this movie has such a long influence on things that followed it. Like, you can't watch this movie and not think about the Full Monty. You know what I mean? It's the working classness. Even this year we have from Belfast the Kneecap movie, which is definitely, you know, working class. It definitely takes beats from The Commitments. You know, he owes money to certain people. The same thing happens in Kneecap. But it is a movie that is really fun, and towards the end, not to spoil it or anything, it sort of doesn't end on this cathartic moment of they did something amazing and they've went off to Hollywood and made it so big. It just kind of ends the way it would when you just had like a band with your mates. And that sort of, you know, has reflected in the reality of The Commitments, where they've talked about a sequel for so long that it seems almost stupid that they would even do one, because it kind of leaves it on a note that, like, yeah, they had their fun and then that was it. Gerard, coming to you, what did you think of The Commitments?
It is a difficult one for me. I feel like it really didn't leave an impression on me. Like, but at the same time, you know, it is a feel-good movie. The music's great. You know, I agree with what you said as well. You know, it's set in home, and you can get along with all the characters, and they really gel with each other, and they have the banter and the patter with each other, and you really understand it and get it. But again, for me, it just didn't really leave an impression. I didn't come away feeling like, yeah, that was fantastic. I can't wait to sit down and rewatch that at some point. It didn't really leave an impression on me, unfortunately.
Bill, have you ever seen The Commitments live?
No, I haven't.
Would you like to join my tribute band of The Commitments?
Yes, absolutely.
I think you'd be an excellent lead singer.
Oh, I don't know about that. My influences are Animal from the Muppets, so that's where I'll be.
So obviously we enjoyed The Commitments, but let's move on to this week's Pick of the Streams.
If you build it, he will come. If you build it, he will come.
If you build what, who will come?
Didn't say.
I hate it when that happens.
Me too.
Who's hearing voices?
Ray is. I think I know what "if you build it, he will come" means.
Ooh, why do I not think this is such a good thing?
Daddy, there's a man out there on your lawn. Are you a ghost?
What do you think?
You look real to me.
Hi guys, I'm sure Adam's doing an absolutely fab job in the studio this week, but I'm back once again to pick another pick of the streams for this week's show, and I had to go with Field of Dreams. It's available on NvTv, and of course you can find it on other VOD platforms. Some of you might even have it on VHS lurking about the house. And following the news of James Earl Jones passing last week, I thought we'd pick this film because it's a movie I love. Genuinely, I love this film. And it holds a special place in my heart, particularly after my father passed away a few years ago. This is a movie that unashamedly wears its heart on its sleeve. We have Kevin Costner, a farmer who becomes obsessed with building a baseball field on his property, and as that begins, people doubt him. That famous line, "If you build it, they will come." James Earl Jones has that great speech in the film, and it's a movie I know some people find it a little bit sugary sweet, but for me, Field of Dreams is the movie that after you watch it, many people will want to pick up the phone and talk to their dad, maybe talk to their mum, and some of us, like me, will just wish that we had the chance to have one last chat with our father. I love this film, so it's going to be interesting to see what everyone in the studio thinks of the movie.
This field, this game, it's a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good.
Hey, is this heaven? No. It's Iowa.
Kevin Costner, Amy Madigan, James Earl Jones, Ray Liotta, Burt Lancaster. Sometimes, when you believe the impossible, the incredible comes true. Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams. Obviously, we're talking about this week, and the guys talked about it last week, the passing of James Earl Jones. Before we get into the movie, Bill, I know you're a big Star Wars guy. What's your thoughts on the passing of James Earl Jones?
That's another childhood legend gone to back to the Force for me. It's definitely it was definitely one that sort of hit the old feels a bit, and just I have went through some of his body of work since his passing just out of respect, but yeah, he'll always be the voice of the big man, Darth Vader. Like.
Gerard, thoughts?
Yeah, very sad news last week of his passing. Obviously he's Darth Vader, but also for me he was the voice of Mufasa in The Lion King. Looking back on Star Wars specifically, because I am a big Star Wars nerd also, Star Wars was never scary. There was nothing scary about it until you see that red lightsaber, until you hear the breathing of Darth Vader. Those scenes in the hallways, when he comes, thumping down the hallway, and you hear the boots and the lightsaber and the breathing, like just and his voice as well, even though it was very robotic, very commanding, and even just himself, it's very evident in the particular speech that he gives in Field of Dreams. It's very commanding. It really steals the show whenever he does speak, and so yeah, another legend gone. Rest in power.
Beautiful man, James Earl Jones. Plays a father in Star Wars. Also plays a father in Coming to America. Fantastic role for him. He was a force to reckon with, and everybody loved him. You never heard a bad word about James Earl Jones, and he is just, even in this movie, just a command on the screen, and someone that even this character that there isn't really much to, he just gives pathos to, because the type of man that he is. So speaking of Field of Dreams, this is the Kevin Costner classic. A movie that I've seen on a shelf for the last 30 years and I've never watched. Because you kind of always hear the if you build it, they will come line. It's parodied in every single pop culture thing you've ever watched. But watching it today, I like Kevin Costner. I like baseball movies. They kind of, the underdog story, like The Commitments, they're always good to watch. But watching this today, I didn't expect to be as emotional as I was watching this movie. Not because just of the passing of James Earl Jones, but like towards the end, I don't want to spoil it, but towards the end when they're all kind of walking into the field and Burt Lancaster's walking in and Ray Liotta's walking in and then James Earl Jones is walking in, I got overcome with emotion of just how beautiful the movie was. And then for the final act to be this story about fathers and sons and your father's age and what are you going to do with your life, it was just beautiful. A lot of funny stuff in it. The movie has its own Walter Peck coming around. I enjoyed that guy. But Bill, what did you think of Field of Dreams?
Right, I'd never seen it before, right? So, but I know what the ending is. So immediately I knew what I was getting into. But like you, I wasn't expecting it to be as emotional. Now, I know what the ending is, But for me, it was also a journey of, especially Burt Lancaster's character, it was a journey of what if? If he batted, then his life would have went one way instead of another. But it just goes to show the tiniest drop can make the biggest ripple and that sort of thing. But the thing that struck right from the start of the film, I was like, but there's nobody, it again hits the ground running of like, this guy hears voices, and immediately he tells his wife and he tells his child, and it's like, don't worry about it. And then he sees a ghost, and the whole family see a ghost, and nobody has like an existential issue with this. It's like, oh, that's a ghost, no problem. Personally, I would have been calling the lads, but from there, obviously you're going on a journey with this guy, so it's not really beset in reality. But yeah, I have to admit, I was pleasantly surprised at the film, and I thought James Earl Jones was fantastic. Frank Whalley as well. Soft spot for Frank Whalley. He crops up in those sort of 90s and 2000s films. Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a really good, feel-good film.
Kevin Costner, he plays it so straight, and they all play it so straight that it never comes off as cheesy, never comes off as, when a camera cuts, they're all going, what is this? They're all taking it very, very serious. But Gerard, what did you think of Field of Dreams?
Compared to the previous two movies, I was immediately drawn in as soon as I switched it on. It's Kevin Costner on what I would call a spiritual quest for reasons that he does not yet know, and it isn't until midway through the movie that he starts to figure out what's going on. But then even then, there's a slight twist. Where he believes that he's doing this all for one particular person, and then in turn, it's not actually that person, it's for someone else. Incredibly heartwarming moments towards the end. We're talking about Burt Lancaster's character, and then obviously James Earl Jones and then Kevin Costner himself. It was just fantastic. I really came away from that movie just saying to myself, wow. Really, really enjoyed it. Definitely wasn't something that was on my radar before. Not a big baseball person, and it's part of the reason why I love coming onto this show is because I get to watch movies that I would probably pass up upon. But I've already recommended it to all my friends and family. If you're just looking for a bit of a tearjerker, but a feel-good one, that's the one to watch.
I think it definitely, with the three of us watching it for the first time and all being men of a certain age, I think particularly now it hits the three of us more than it would have if we'd watched it as a kid. I think as a kid we would have been like, oh, ghosts playing baseball. Go watch Angels in the Outfield if you want that sort of magic. But I think now, us being older, we sort of feel Kevin Costner's, growing up, you don't really think about your father and what he did with his life. But then you get to a certain age and you think to yourself, well, what did my father do? What was he like as a young man? Because he was probably just like me. He probably didn't know what was happening. And this film, definitely hit home for me the fact that, I thought about my father while watching it. And when movies can hit you on an emotional level like that, they're always doing the right thing, But I think that is us for this week. We all enjoyed. Go watch Field of Dreams. Great movie. But that's it from me this week, and that is us, our guests. Thank you for joining me, Gerard.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
And that's us for this week. Thank you for joining us. Next week, you shall have Robert J.E. Simpson as host. Hopefully, I haven't messed this up too much, and Jim will have me back. Or if I'm on the other side of the panel, Jim has reclaimed his throne. But that is us for this week. You shall see us next week for more exciting movie reviews. But as always, bye.